Hello and welcome to the Browns Blitz. Today is Thursday, July 31st. This is episode number 306. I'm your host, Rod Bloom. Joining me is my brother, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how are things going?
Going great, Rod. A lot of exciting stuff happening again this week.
Yeah, we got some things to talk about, which sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, but we do have some things to talk about. So
Right.
we'll get into all that. And joining us in the other upper corner is our friend Tim Iskra. Tim, thanks for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks to be here, and thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. It's great to have you, Tim. So we usually do a drink segment, guys, but we don't have a whole heck of a lot to talk about there tonight, so we're going to skip that. Everybody's got something in front of them. Just know that, and we're going to move on. So you guys enjoy whatever you have there, and
Right.
I think we got enough. I think we got enough to talk about to fill our
plenty of
time.
Browns content tonight.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do something different, Jeff and Tim. Usually I start, usually we do the, the Blitz beverages and that, and we go to Browns news. I'm going to go a little different angle tonight just to kind of break things up a little bit. Because I feel like it kind of ties into some other things I want to talk about. So somebody called me an Andrew Berry apologist on X recently. And I wasn't really even addressing Andrew Berry. I was really talking about something else in a response to somebody's tweet. So I wasn't even really sticking up for Andrew Berry. I was just more referencing the source of the tweet. It just kind of goes back to the idea of continuity that we've talked about, Jeff, wanting continuity, and where does continuity get you? Does it get you where you want to be? We haven't experienced continuity with this franchise for years and years and years. So now we have continuity. These guys have been around. What is this their sixth season, or are they going on 7 now?
6, yeah.
6. So I feel like now, people are going the other way. They're like, they're kind of just give me someone else. I want someone else,
Right.
Right. These guys aren't very good. We want someone else. We don't care who it is, which is where we were before.
Right.
Just fire him. Just fire him. We
Yeah.
need somebody else. Okay. That doesn't mean who we have are the best guys right now. I'm not going to say they're perfect. They've got some things to prove still. They've made mistakes. For me, it depends on whether you believe there's a learning curve in these positions or not, head coach and GM. If you think these guys can get better, or if you think they are what they are and they're never going to change. But for me, I just, I've always felt, that continuity, looking at other franchises, that continuity was a good thing. Now that goes with finding the right guys. Okay. But
Sure.
Continuity generally leads to positive things for a franchise. But with that continuity, you have to have accountability eventually, for the
Right.
guys in charge and for the players. And then once you have accountability and continuity, that's how you get to legitimacy in a franchise.
Right.
And that's the ultimate thing that we want with the Browns.
Right.
So that's my big speech. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on
I hope
it.
you feel
I'm
better.
really not leading to any. I feel great. I'm not a Berry apologist. I don't think the guy's perfect, but I think he's done a lot more good things than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't think he can do anything right in some people's eyes, no matter what he does. So
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Jimmy Haslam spoke at length this week about him learning to have patience, and that the organization needs to have patience to get where we want to go. We just need that to trickle down to the fan base now, to understand that um, they are building towards something here. It doesn't always feel that way or look that way. Um,
yeah,
but we've had more success in the last 5 years than in the previous 20 put together. So
it's true.
we do finally have some respected people running the organization. And I think that the idea that the fans sort of revert back to, the tried and true methods of, just let's just blow it up every time we're unhappy, is just an indication that they're just not happy yet. They're still feeling the pain of the 20 years of wandering in the misery of a really lousy expansion team. So
Well,
you're right. We don't need to apologize for anybody. These guys will be judged on their own merits. Um, you know, there's a review after every season, and if the organization feels like someone's not doing their job, they're going to replace them. They've shown that. So you and I don't need to come on here and apologize for anybody, even for the sake of keeping someone for continuity. Um, that's the organization's job. So I'm okay with these guys. I think we have to get past a really horrible situation with a mistake of a very giant contract to a quarterback. We'll see where that gets us. It's going to take a couple of years to do that reset. But I still think at the foundation, we still have a solid organization.
yeah. Tim, we're 7
I
minutes
agree.
in,
I think
and we're going to give you a chance to talk finally.
that's great. I think to piggyback on what you both were just saying, I think we proved the first 20 years that the constant change didn't necessarily mean improvement. So, trying to ride the wave a little bit with these guys, I think that's the right thing to do. Like you said, Jeff, we've had some success more in the last 5 years than the 20 before that. So I think these guys are trying hard. I don't think anybody's trying to sabotage the team, that's for sure. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
maybe that contract that you just referred to might have done that, but I think we're on the upside of that contract. And
Right.
let's face it, we're really not thinking about number 4 is not going to be in the mix this year, at least. So for the first time in the last 3 years, that's one thing we're not even thinking about heading into the season. And I'm not necessarily disappointed in that. I don't think there are too many people that are.
Right.
I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get back to news then, guys. Again, this isn't really in chronological order. It's been what 10 days since we had a podcast, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's been a while. We recorded early last week and a little later this week. So I'm going to go to probably the most impactful news, and that's the Martin Emerson injury, the torn Achilles. He's going to be out for the season. This is going to have a big impact on the team. I guess first of all, do you think there's any chance they try to do something to bring in another corner, or do you think they just handle this internally? What do you guys think?
I'll let you go first this time, Tim.
I think just like everybody are really disappointed in this news. I think a lot of us were hoping Marty was going to have a bounce back year this year. I got to be honest, I'm not sure about around the league. I think we should just stay internally, do the best. I mean, I think the other guys that we got in there are stalwarts that have been there for the last few years. Denzel and who am I thinking of? No, Zero. Can't think of his name right now.
Greg Newsome.
Yeah,
Newsome.
Greg.
Yeah.
And Delpit. So these guys are ready, and I'm expecting and really hoping that the defense bounce back like it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Jeff?
Yeah, two things. First of all, from Emerson's perspective, this could not have been more disastrous for him and for his career.
Yeah.
He was, he had a down year last year. We were all looking for him to rebound and prove his value to the NFL and try to get that next contract. An Achilles injury for a cornerback is devastating. I mean, it could take 2 or 3 years for him to get back if he makes it back. So just thinking about, where this leaves him personally, it's devastating, and I feel terrible for the individual. From a team perspective, I think it's next man up. You hate to lose him, but Greg Newsome was drafted to be an outside corner. He's been playing out of position the last couple seasons. He's in his walk year. He has every incentive to go out and play lights out opposite Denzel this year. So let's see it. Let's have him go out there and do that. And then I also think it's a great opportunity for Cam Mitchell, who the Browns like a lot. They've been grooming him to take over that slot position for the last couple seasons. And, now is the time to find out, what his true ceiling is can he go out and win that job? And if that's not the case, then you've got some depth behind them as well. So I really don't see a need to bring anybody in right now. That could change if there's more injuries down the road. But for the time being, I think, we move everybody up a level and hopefully they step up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's hard to see it happen to Martin Emerson. I mean, he goes from the opportunity to really play well and get a big contract following the season to being one of those guys that's going to have to come back. Like you said, if he's able to come back in a year or two, and
right,
he's going to have to sign a short-term low-ball contract just to prove he could play again.
Yeah, that's right.
So you feel bad for him.
Yep.
So Martin Emerson's not the only guy who the Browns have lost, or I guess
won't be playing this year.
Lost won't be playing this year, or not playing right now.
Right.
I think Kenny Pickett's got the hammy. He's out right now. I mean, that's not a season-long issue, but not as of right now.
I find that interesting. I mean, I feel like it's a little early in the process for the fake hamstring injury to come up. I expected somebody to have a fake hamstring injury some point in camp.
One of the QBs, yeah,
but it just feels a little early.
Well, those things can be aggravated over and over and over again.
Right. It could linger. Right. Yeah. Could force a move. Linger. Right.
But I mean, so you got Emerson, you got Pickett, who's out for who knows how long with the hammy, and we got Judkins, who's going to be facing that suspension, who hasn't even signed yet.
Right.
And then we got Jordan Hicks, who retired.
Called it a career.
Yeah. I mean, obviously. Judkins is a rookie. I think everybody expected him to start. So, even though with him being a rookie, that's still a big loss. Pickett, you can say what you want, but Emerson and Jordan Hicks, losing those two guys off defense, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
So it just kind of feels like kind of a little bit of a damper. I guess these things happen in the preseason, but man, you lose two guys for the season.
Right.
That's different from just some kind of injury where you're gonna them back week 2, 3, 4, something like that. So, we've had the issue of guys not playing in preseason games and them being careful with guys, and now we're not even getting out of practice and we got injuries coming up and stuff. Do you think this is going to affect how they approach the preseason games if they keep having injuries pile up, guys? What do you think, Jeff?
Stefanski's talking about putting calluses on these guys. I think they were hitting in camp today. I think they're going to keep playing smash mouth football through preseason. They need to. The team just needs to be tougher. So, unfortunately, the downside of that, you're going to probably have some injuries. It'll test the depth of the organization, and a lot of young guys are going to get some meaningful playing time this season. That's okay. We're going to find out what we have.
Yeah, I have to agree. Sometimes
How
it
do you
makes you
think?
wish.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say sometimes it makes you wish
you're fine.
you could skip right over the preseason. But I agree with you, Jeff. You can't.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate part of the game, but we see injuries every day from other teams too. So you just got to suck it up. The rookies are going to get a chance. Devastating about Hicks to retire at that time. That's what threw you off. You figured that maybe the spring camp might have given you that thought that you really didn't want to do this anymore. And that being said, I think it's given us more time to focus on our rookie from UCLA, who looks like he can kind of step in and be a very impactful player right to start.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of responsibility to lay on his shoulders as a rookie, but I believe he's up to the task.
It looks like it so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that would be interesting. Definitely.
You and I were talking about. I think we're gonna see a lot of Jerome Baker, and then there are some other depths, some young depth pieces in the linebacker room. So, again, I'm not worried about the linebacker room per se right now, but it's a big loss in the clubhouse. Losing a green dot guy on your defense.
Yeah, I think we, in talking about it on prior shows, I think we felt pretty good about the linebacker room, even with that loss. It just feels like the Browns always find a way at linebacker, too. Not saying they always have the strongest linebacking core in the league or anything, but it seems like when they bring guys in, they get something out of their linebackers. And for a team that never seems to emphasize linebackers, their linebackers play pretty well. It's kind of interesting. You're like, are they ever going to go after, a guy and, other than JOK, and they don't, but their guys end up doing pretty darn well. So I have a feeling that'll shake out okay. But like you said, Jeff, it's maybe the leadership, the clubhouse kind of issue there.
Right.
So,
I've seen all kinds of stories about, Carson Schlesinger. He's going to make the Pro Bowl. He's going to this, there, that. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, the guy's a rookie, right? Who's going to be given a ton of responsibility in a really key position in the wide nine defense. I've heard a lot of people talking about how linebacker is not a premium position in Jim Schwartz's defense. That's true to a certain extent, but in the wide nine, that middle linebacker is a critical position in stopping the run. Otherwise, you're going to get gutted up the middle all day long if he's not where he's supposed to be.
We've seen it.
Absolutely. So
time and again.
Yes, right. So, let's hope that the kid's up to the task. I think he will be.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to the next area. There's been a lot of talk about the offense looking terrible. The offense is horrendous. Okay, guys,
as opposed to last year.
Yeah, as opposed to last year. Well, that's a good point. I mean, what do you expect? Okay, first of all, you got a bunch of new guys in there. I don't know how much they're incorporating at this point, but you got a new offense. Next thing, aren't they going up against pretty good defense in practice?
Yeah, you would think so. You'd hope so.
So wouldn't you expect the defense to probably be ahead of them right now?
Yeah.
So maybe we should pump the brakes on thinking the offense is horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not saying it's good, but man, they're going up against a unit that should be ahead of them at this point.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I'm not too worried about how the offense looks right now. More concerned about how they look in week one.
Yeah.
Can we run a reasonably effective offense out there that doesn't shoot itself in the foot? Those things take a little time to bring together.
They do. They do.
Guys,
go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, so on that same topic, who do you guys think is going to be leading the offense? Since we got 4 or 3.5 at the moment to choose from.
Well, I'll tell you, Tim, we've given some thoughts on that. Why don't you give us your thoughts first as to who you think is going to be leading the offense week one and maybe throughout the season?
I think I'm more excited about the offense than I was last year. I think at least we got some healthy quarterbacks. I think Flacco is the guy I'd like to see start behind center in week one. I think we've already seen that he can do good. I really think Joe wants to have one more good year. I think he wants to be the starter. I'm not so sure he wasn't even kind of told that he would have the first chance at that. I have no idea, obviously, but I just kind of feel like he wants to play the starter. He wants to play football. He wants to do it for his kids. I don't know if you guys saw the half-hour piece that Aditi did with Joe and his kids. It was really good, and I like the guy too. I think he's really easy to like. I think most of us like him. That being
now
said,
that he's in Cleveland,
yeah, for sure. I also think Joe probably has a short leash because I think we got a couple exciting rookies in both those guys, both Gabriel and Shedeur. I'd really like to see both of them get in the game and see how they could do. So I'm kind of excited about it. There's some young blood and some fresh blood, and Miles said we're going to the Super Bowl. So I mean, I think we're all set.
Well, I can say with a reasonable level of certainty that Miles will be at the Super Bowl, but I don't think he'll be playing in it.
That is probably true, Jeff. Yeah.
Let's hope he's just not talking about shopping himself to other teams during the Super Bowl like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding. Yeah, I think we've been pretty much there with you. Jeff, are you still in the camp that you think Flacco's going to start, or because things have shifted a little bit with Shedeur. It kind of feels like they're really kind of pushing Dylan Gabriel to try to be the guy, over Shedeur right now. And that could change in preseason and everything, but you really think there's how much of a chance do you think there is that Shedeur gets to start before Gabriel does it at this point?
I don't think so. They talked about a 4-man competition. I really never thought this was a competition. I thought the only competition here was really Kenny Pickett against himself. It was going to be Flacco in week one, regardless, because you don't take a rookie and stick him out there with a brand new offense and play the kinds of teams that we're going to be playing early in the season. I can't think of any NFL coach who would think that's a good idea, unless you have some all-world rookie who was taken number 1 overall in the draft and is just ready to step right in. Which, how many times have we seen that in the last 50 years? So I think they're doing the right things with the rookies to give them a chance to get their feet under them first. And as far as who's going to play early in the season, I'm with Tim. I think Flacco came here knowing that he was going to be the guy out of the gate. Everybody else is a project. Flacco can give you some stability at that position. We don't know for how long or how well he's going to do at it, but at least he can give you some stability. And when it's time to play those other two guys, we'll know it. You know, my opinion of the rookies hasn't changed either. I still see Dylan Gabriel as a long-term backup quarterback for this team. I think that's where he will slot in. He will be, throughout the course of his contract, the guy that comes in and spot starts and is a reliable guy to execute Kevin Stefanski's offense. I think that's a needed component here that Case Keenum tried to give it to us, and we've had a few other guys, right? But to have a young guy like that who's cost controlled that you can develop in that mold, I think is a real value to an organization. And he's going to stick just because of that. Shedeur is still a wild card. He's the boomer bust. You know, he could prove to us by the end of this season that he belongs here, or he could be down the road. And we'll know that pretty fast too, just like we did with DTR. So for the time being, we're looking at who's playing this week. It's not about who the starting quarterback in Cleveland is. It's who's starting this week.
Yeah. So a question from at John_Smother72 on Twitter. He asked me about do you think Sanders gets a chance early this year? And I said define early, and he said first 2 to 4 games. I think there's any chance Shedeur plays by week 4, guys.
Short of injury, no.
Yeah, it would have to be it would have to be catastrophic injuries, I think.
Yeah.
That being said,
I would agree.
I really like what I've seen from Shedeur. Not only does it seem like he's improving each week, each day, as camp has been going along, but he seems like a genuinely good human being. And that certainly made me like him and be more impressed with him than I was to begin with, which in the beginning I thought it was just way too much hype, and I didn't think we really had a good look at who Shedeur was. There was just too much noise in the off season about it, but he seems like a really good guy. I was just watching something earlier today, and Mary Kay Cabot was talking, and she said that after practice the other day, Jerome Baker was at the podium talking. Shedeur was coming over to the other podium. As Shedeur started walking in, reporters started moving towards the other podium where Shedeur was going, and Shedeur saw that, and he walked out, told his whole crew to walk out. And then when Jerome was done, he came back in, and the reporters asked Shedeur why he left. And he said, all out of respect. Nothing more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's saying and doing the right things, which is important. I believe that Shedeur is not a 5th round pick from a talent standpoint. I also didn't believe that he was the number 2 pick in the draft. I felt like he was probably a pretty solid developmental young quarterback that you had as much chance of hitting with as any other quarterback in this draft if you took him in the top 100 picks, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing has happened yet to change that, and every quarterback that goes through that process in the NFL has that learning curve they have to get through. So as long as he's humble and willing to put in the work, he still has a chance of getting there. And we shouldn't put any more expectations on him than that.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to talk about the social media component and the celebrity component and all that stuff. But ultimately, it's about what can you do on the field.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break here on the Browns Blitz. We'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
And we're back with more of the Browns Blitz, part of the Fanatical Elves Network with our guest, Tim Iskra. You guys were talking about Shedeur Sanders, Browns quarterback room, and I guess just everything that's going on there. I heard something interesting. I just wanted to bring up. Was listening to Ken Carm, and everybody's talking about him since he was on our show last week, Jeff. So, again, thanks to Ken for coming on. But they were talking about the fact that Dillon Gabriel's a 3rd-round pick, and Shedeur Sanders was technically a 5th-round pick, and that they have some concern that the Browns are going to prioritize showing that the 3rd-round pick gets priority over the 5th-round pick. And I'm thinking, if the Browns actually have to make sure that Dillon Gabriel looks better than Shedeur Sanders because he was a 3rd-round pick over a 5th-round pick, they're really missing the boat. Okay.
Right.
Because, if you took 2 wide receivers in the 3rd and the 5th round, do you really care which guy's better?
No.
You just want one of them to be good. Right.
Right.
Now, if one guy was taken number 2 and another guy was taken in the 6th round, sure, you're going to look stupid if the 6th rounder's better, right? You still got him on your team, though.
Right. But yeah.
You're talking 3rd and 5th rounds.
Right.
Who cares? So they absolutely cannot turn this into a political thing. They have to give these guys a chance to grow, to play, and to find out what they can both do, whatever that takes. If they show any favoritism based on who was picked when, they're just being bullheaded and stupid, right?
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Do you think it's happening now?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I think it's about where these guys are in their acclimation process to the NFL. And I just think Dillon Gabriel is probably has his feet under him a little bit better as a player because of his college career, his experience with different programs and different coaching staffs. I think the learning curve for Shedeur is a little bit longer, but we knew that was that was the risk in drafting him. That the boom bust factor. Dillon Gabriel is much more of a high floor type of player, and that's fine. That's you need those kinds of people. That's what we wanted going into the draft. You and I talked about it many times, Rod. Let's draft one of each of those types, right?
Yeah.
So the Browns have a very high floor player in Dillon Gabriel, who I think will be a very reliable backup in this league, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's a great thing to find in the NFL. He's I'm not saying he could never become a consistent winner, or that he couldn't start a number of games if need be. Okay, I'm just saying that my expectation for him is not that he's going to be a franchise quarterback. And why would you have that expectation from a 3rd rounder?
I don't think anybody had that expectation of him going into the draft.
No.
I think most Browns fans were shocked. I don't think many people had him going in the 3rd round. So,
right.
It's going to be interesting seeing what happens. So Tim, I want to go back to you and just kind of get your thoughts on. We've talked a little bit about how you think the quarterback play is going to go this year. How do you see this playing out as far as the competition and how the roster is going to work out eventually on the initial 53 with quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think again that Flacco is going to be there, and what I'd like to see is us carry 3 and keep Gabriel and Sanders. For me, Pickett is the odd man out. in this one. I think there's a lot of us that really want to see what we got in both Gabriel and Sanders. And I got nothing against Kenny Pickett, but again, I think he's just going to be the odd man out. I don't think we can carry 4, right? That seems like that would be pretty difficult.
Jeff, what do you think about carrying 4?
Yeah,
Huh?
I mean, I think
need
there's
4?
good chance we'll play 4 quarterbacks this year. You know, our recent history shows that we probably will. So, you know,
Do you think would they put 4 on the initial 53?
well, they did it a couple of years ago with Snoop Huntley, and then they tried to move him, and they didn't find any takers, so they ended up releasing him a little bit later.
Okay.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they carry 4 quarterbacks into the first few weeks of the season at least. You know, and if somebody does get hurt, you know,
Well,
you've got
that's interesting because I mean they're going to be down a running back. So you know, I was, you know, talking earlier about them carrying maybe 4 running backs. They're probably not going to do that now. You know, they don't necessarily need to carry 6 wide receivers. So I guess it's possible, but I got to be totally honest here, guys. You know, I have a long commute to work right now, so I listen to a lot of podcasts, sports podcasts, and other things. But I had a Browns podcast come on. I'm not going to say which one, and they were talking about the roster, and they said, okay, they started out with QB, and they said, okay, I got all 4 quarterbacks making a roster, and I said nope, and I stopped and I listed something else because I didn't think that was possible. Okay, so maybe I jumped to conclusions. Okay. I'm like, I can't buy this. Are you kidding me? So I was thinking like Tim, you know, I figure that they got to do something, you know, they got to trade Pickett or release him or, you know, I don't know if there's any way they get Shedeur Sanders to the practice squad. Probably not. No. I don't know. I think they go with Flacco and the 2 rookies and try to get what they can out of Kenny Pickett, honestly. But maybe
I
you're
think
right,
it's
Jeff.
about who are the 53 players that will contribute the most to your team. And if quarterback is a position of weakness where you really don't have a settled game plan and you got a lot of guys you want to look at, okay, maybe that's more important this year than having that 6th wide receiver or that special teams linebacker, you know, or that 4th safety. Okay. You just have to look at the value of that player on the roster. And I could certainly see them maybe only keeping 2 tight ends for a while, depending on how much they like Harold Fannin. You know, 3 running backs. There's plenty of places you could borrow a roster spot from, I think, especially when your expectation this year is not to go to the Super Bowl. It's, you know, we're evaluating players.
Right. Makes sense. I guess we'll see. It'll be interesting, and it may be kind of difficult to project, even though we will try when the time comes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I did a little something this week, Rod, for the Brain Boost, just to kind of illustrate players' contribution to the team based on their snap counts. Okay, so I'm going to put up the Brain Boost here with the snap count leaders from last year. Okay, and I'm going to start with special teams because special
Tim's putting
teams.
His glasses on, Jeff. He's
okay.
Getting serious.
Special teams would be the hardest one for us to guess, I think. But do you have any guesses? You guys want to hazard a guess on who you think had the most special teams snaps for the Browns last year?
What do you think, Tim?
Juan Thornhill?
No.
Mike Ford.
Yeah, I would have guessed Mike Ford too, Rod. So I'm going to
Just a
put this
guess.
up so that we can see it. Mike Ford actually came in second. 333 snaps of a possible 465. So he's on the field for about 72% of the special teams snaps. Winston
Yeah.
Reed actually was out there for 80% of the snaps.
Wow.
And Winston Reed is our fifth or sixth linebacker?
Well, might be a little higher
yeah.
now, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, maybe
might
not.
move,
Maybe
right?
not.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So Mike Ford is I forget where he went. The Rams or someplace. And Khalil Hudson is not with anybody right now. So right now the special teams guy that we relied on the most last year, Winston Reed, is sort of a fringe player to make the roster. I got to think he's got a pretty good shot at making the roster.
I would think so.
Sixth linebacker, right? So
you need somebody out there.
yeah. So it just goes to show you value of roster spots and what you get from those last few guys. Okay. So next I'm going to go to defense. Any ideas or any thoughts on who might have been the leader in snap count on the defense last year?
Tim.
I don't know. Maybe Greg Newsome.
Greg Newsome was top 6 or 7, I believe. I'm not looking at the actual numbers, but he was one of the higher snap count guys. Yes, but not top 3.
Greg Newsome, I cheated, guys. I actually looked at some of these numbers because I thought that I was going to do some of this, and Jeff did. I did not look at special teams numbers. Greg Newsome was actually 6th.
Yeah.
From the numbers that I have, or 7th actually. Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be surprised some of the guys who had more snaps than him. Yeah. So sorry, Jeff. I kind of messed this up by looking at some of the numbers ahead of time for you.
Okay. So I'm just going to flip over to the defensive numbers here. So actually, oops, I went too far.
Don't look
let's
at that.
Let's go back to number 2. Jeez. This stupid program just frustrates the crap out of me. All right, so here we are. Back to defense.
Okay.
Okay, so Grant Delpit was, God dang it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Joystick second.
It puts up a little preview of the next slide, and I'm trying to get off of that so I can read the dang slide, and it keeps clicking into to the next one. So frustrating.
These crazy computers.
Anyway, okay. So yeah, so Grant Delpit, 90.3% of the snaps on defense, 978 of a possible 1,084. MJ Emerson, 839, 76%, and Myles Garrett, 826, not very far behind 76% also. So we obviously lost Martin Emerson this year, as we just spoke. So that's a lot of snaps that need to get picked up, right? So Greg Newsome is the logical guy to pick up a lot of those, but we're going to also be relying on the next few guys in line in that defensive backfield to pick up a lot of snaps with him out. Okay.
Yeah, you want the next 4 on that list, Jeff? I can give.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, on defense. Yeah,
so Denzel Ward at 759. I don't have the percentages, but Denzel Ward 759. Jordan Hicks drops down to 604. Then Newsome then Diabate at 581, and then Newsome at 575. Those are the only guys over 500.
Yeah.
Everybody else is 400 or less. In the 400s, I should say.
Okay. So you two guys on that list are not playing this year or went down this week. Either retirement or injury. So we're going to be relying on some younger guys to take a lot of those snaps. Okay, you might have already seen the offensive slide, but any guesses on offense?
I don't
Well,
think I
without
would've guessed
looking back
Wyatt
at my
Teller.
notes, yeah, I mean, I know that the main linemen were all pretty high on it. I can't remember who was number one, but I mean the linemen, and Wyatt Teller, Batonio, and Posick were all pretty high, along with Jerry Judy. I know
Yep.
those guys. Yeah.
Yep. So actually, our Iron Man for 2024 was Joel Batonio. He did not play 3 snaps. Come on, Joel, you're slacking.
Nuts.
Yeah. 1,177 snaps out of a possible 1,180 on offense. That's a shit ton of snaps on offense. We ran a lot of plays on offense. Not very well, but we ran a lot of
Yeah,
plays.
that's crazy. He's
Yeah.
trying to be Joe Thomas out there or something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I love Joel. I'm glad he's back, but I would be pretty shocked if he repeated that performance this year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That'd be a big expectation for him to play 99.75% of the snaps this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would think that somebody else is going to slide into that. Ethan Posick was pretty close. Enjoyed good health this year. And then Jerry Judy, as you mentioned, Rod, he played a lot. He set the Browns team record for receptions, which kind of went unnoticed. So then the last thing I thought I'd do was just kind of give some thoughts on who could maybe unseat Joel this year. Again, because I kind of don't expect Joel to play that much. So here are my 3 candidates. You guys can beat this up if you want. I think Grant Delpit, with having Ronnie Hickman playing with him and some other uncertain guys behind him, there's going to be a lot riding on Grant Delpit this year. Let's hope he stays healthy and plays a lot of snaps. And there's a good chance he'll be the guy who plays the most. Judy is basically our only established receiver. I mean, so he's probably going to play a lot, right? And Teller, I looked at Teller's game by individual game snap counts, and he had one game, I believe, in week 3 or 4, where he went out with a minor injury or something. Otherwise, he was like all season long. So there's a very good chance that if the Browns don't trade him at some point, that he could be one of those high snap count guys as well.
He was number 4 on the list last year, Jeff, at 884. So definitely right there.
Yep.
The crazy thing is Jack Conklin was at 817, and then the next highest guy was David Njoku at 589. There's a huge drop off on offense on snaps.
Yes.
So they need some health there, but I guess, Tim, what are your thoughts on this for Iron Man, and who do you think could lead the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go. It's hard to go. I'm kind of surprised that Conklin was as healthy as he was. It seems like he's hurt every other game, so that's surprising that number on him. I think that's a big deal, though. Conklin, Teller, Batonio, if those guys can stay healthy, we got a pretty good line if all those guys stay healthy, assuming we don't keep carting DeJuan Jones off the field, even though it's only for a heat stroke and get us all nervous. But I think it's hard to go against those guys right there. I'm a big fan of Wyatt Teller. I've always liked Wyatt, so I'd like to see him get it. That'd be great.
I think for me, I think obviously you want your offense to be leading the team in snaps, not your defense. So So I'm
Yeah.
hoping for the offensive lineman to be leading. You know, I would love to see DeJuan Jones somewhere in the top 5, because that means he's playing a good left tackle and stays healthy. You know,
Agreed.
that would be really good for the team. Other than that, yeah, I think Jerry Jeudy could easily lead the team. You know, if it's not one of the offensive linemen, but you know, if we got 3 defensive players as our top guys, it's probably going to be a long season, guys.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
My laptop's running a little low, so I just got to head to a different spot so I can get to an outlet.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
I did not anticipate guys who have extensive injury histories qualifying for this. So I left DeJuan Jones off the list. I left David Njoku off the list. Guys who
Oh,
could potentially play a lot more, but we've not seen them stay healthy enough.
oh no, I agree with you. I'm just saying that I think that could be one of the best signs for the Browns if DeJuan Jones
no doubt.
with his new body is able to stay healthy and play a fair left tackle out there. It would be just a huge
For me,
benefit.
that's probably almost as big a deal as us potentially finding a quarterback this year, is if we found DeJuan Jones to be a long-term answer at left tackle. That's, again, just one less premium draft pick that we have to spend going forward.
Yeah. We can only use so many first-round draft picks, right?
Right. So quarterback is 1, left tackle is 1A. I mean, it's that close for me.
Yeah.
That there's a lot riding on him being successful at left tackle this year and staying healthy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Absolutely.
your Browns Blitz or Browns Brain Boost for tonight.
Very nice, Jeff. Nicely done.
Yeah, that was
I
cool.
will,
Thank you.
I'll take the Browns brain boost off, maybe. There we go. All right. So,
All right.
yeah, very interesting that, I mean, the 3 guys that, we were looking at offense there, and I'm still going back to this, but, you had Conklin and Teller in the 800s. The 3 guys in the 500s on offense were Njoku, Ford, and Jones, all guys that were hurt.
Yeah.
And then everybody else was in the 400s there. So the guys that I mentioned are the only guys on the team that had 500, 500 snaps last year. So 8 guys on offense and 6 guys on defense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it goes to injuries. It goes to, I guess, probably most of it goes to injuries, honestly.
Yeah.
And I guess some rotational guys, things like that. But
I don't think that's unique.
400 snaps.
Yeah, I don't think that's unique to our organization. I think that's just part of the NFL process. It's why you need young guys in the pipeline. It's why you need to draft well in day 2 and 3, and have guys to come in and fill spots, because the NFL is a rugged league. Guys get hurt. That's much more common than guys playing 1,100 snaps. That just doesn't happen.
I would think so. I would think that if you looked at guys' careers, that they typically probably play less snaps as they get older, obviously, in most cases. And I bet the guys that play snaps like this year after year probably have more tendency to get injured too. So I think you're absolutely right. So, anything else going on in the news out there, guys?
I saw a couple of minor signings. Nothing I'd get super excited about. This is the time of year where you're going to see a lot of bodies in and out of camp.
Yeah.
But I do think that the running back room is still fun to watch. And I'm going to be paying particular attention to those end of the roster guys in the running back room in the preseason games and look for somebody that really can win a job this year. We're expecting a lot now from Dylan Sampson. I think he can do it. You know, I'm a little concerned, much like I said about Schlesinger, that you're putting an awful lot of weight on a rookie. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like you said,
I mean,
Rob,
the thing is,
we find that third guy.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the thing is, Dylan Sampson, it'd be great if he comes in and starts and looks tremendous and carries the load and everything. But if that's not the case, if he just comes in and, you know, and he needs help and, you know, and it's more of a tandem with him and Jerome Ford, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be bad. I really
Right.
don't think so. People like to hate Jerome Ford. A lot of people don't like him. I mean, I think the guy's done a pretty decent job here for the Browns. I know he's not Quinshon Judkins or Nick Chubb, but I think the guy's a pretty fair running back. I think especially if you get him in the right scheme, which I think it'll be better this year than it was last season. I think the guy will do a decent job. And I think, you know, if you have to play him, you know, a little bit more than you're expecting because, you know, Sampson needs a little bit more of a break, you know, because he can't, you know, at the NFL level, if he can't do the 20, 25 carries a game, whatever, so be it. You know, we'll find out. Those things will play out.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest about the offense last year. Besides Jerome Ford, there wasn't a lot in that running back room. And from a offensive scheme perspective, there wasn't much of an effort put forth to run the ball. So it's going to be completely different this season.
I think
so.
that's our biggest question
so.
mark by far is the running back room. I'm a fan of Jerome Ford. He's a very respectable runner. I think he just got put in a tough spot. We were all, even still, such big fans of Nick Chubb, and Jerome kind of, because of the injuries, ended up being Chubb's replacement. So that could be some of the animosity I think that some of the fans have out there. But with the question mark of Judkins right now and Sampson, I just don't think we have any idea really about the running back room. And so we'll keep our fingers crossed about that one, that the scheme itself will allow for more touches. And if everybody stays healthy, obviously that's always the big key.
Yep.
Yeah, you make a great point, Tim. You know, a lot of people have hated every left tackle we brought in since Joe Thomas retired, with good reason in some cases. Okay, but yeah, I mean, Jerome Ford, at times he didn't look good last season. I know he hesitates a little bit too much for some people, but you know, Nick didn't look great last season either, and I know he's coming off the injury, so I understand that. I'm not knocking Nick Chubb. I love Nick Chubb as much as anybody else.
Of course.
But a lot of that was the offense. It was not the running backs. So, you know, I don't care if you're giving the ball to Nick Chubb or Jerome Ford. Those guys can't run through a brick wall. You know, you got to have holes. You got to have somewhere to run the ball. So I do think this season will be different. So, but I think it'll work out. But yeah, I think if the Browns could add another running back until they figure out what's going on with Judkins, then
that'd be nice.
Yeah,
it's been nice seeing Bernie back in camp after the year away.
Yeah, he's really out there mixing it up with the fans and stuff. Seen some really cool videos. Really good to see him out there. Yeah,
like a lot of us. I'm a huge Bernie fan. Have been, you know, since back in the day when, well, frankly, the glory days, kind of the late '80s, really.
Right.
I got to meet Bernie last year. It was a really cool story. my wife and I were in Cleveland. It was March last year. We were in Cleveland to see a Cavs game, and we were eating at Betts right down on 9th Street. And all of a sudden I see a gentleman and looked to be maybe his daughter come walking in. And I looked at my wife and I said, I'm pretty sure that's Bernie Kosar right there coming in to eat. And she said, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I know Bernie. And he came and sat down, and I'm looking at her and going, I got to go over and say hi. But I didn't want to be one of those people that interrupted him and all that kind of thing. So I waited a little bit and I said, I'll kill myself if I don't take the opportunity to say hi. So I walked over, and he looked up and greeted me very nicely. And the first thing I said was, I've been wanting to talk to you, and I was there in 1986 for the drive. And he goes, yeah, so was I. And I felt like a real fan. But anyways, he was gracious as could be, as you'd expect. And I only took about 30 seconds because I didn't want to be rude. So I went back over, and I was happy enough. Well, after that, there was a couple older women who were walking down on 9th Street, and they noticed him through the window. So they must have stopped in and asked the host or something if they could come in, and the host came over to Bernie. So he let those ladies come in, and he took a couple pictures with him. Gracious again, just like you'd expect. So now I had to. So I went back over to him after he finished his meal, and I asked if I could get a picture, and he stood right up, and my wife took a picture of him and I, and he was talking with me, and he engaged my wife in some conversation, and just as good of a man as I would have expected. And it only increased the really good opinion I had of him anyways. So it was really cool.
That's nice.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, he's a legend, and Bernie and I mean, just some of the other Brown legends are just, I mean, it's just why we love this team. Just the guys who have played here, and I mean, they're just the real deal, all of them, But so glad you got a chance to meet them and talk to them.
Yeah, that was really cool. To meet one of your heroes like that, and then to have them actually be just as cool as you imagined, really made it a really neat experience.
Yeah,
I was going to say, awesome. Those older players, like you mentioned, that's why we all still pine to see Clay Matthews get in the Hall of Fame. It's a travesty that he's not.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. We'll keep hoping every year.
Yes, we will.
That's all we can do. Hope the senior committee put him in. He deserves it.
Yeah.
Now as much as last year and the year before and every year before that. So yeah. What can you say? So yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, Tim. That's really cool.
You're welcome.
I know. I think everybody's a Nick Chubb fan. I think everybody's a Bernie fan. Everybody's a Clay fan. These guys don't have a chance to meet everybody, but it's so cool that when they do get to meet somebody like you, that they're authentic, that they are what we think they are, that they're not pretending, that they really are these good guys that we've rooted for and that we looked up to all these years. So that's awesome.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, Tim, it's been great having you on tonight. I'm going to apologize. I think I was probably a little more long-winded tonight than I should have been. So I feel like I didn't give you
no apologies needed. I apologize that I had to move to keep my laptop from blasting out at me with about 15 minutes left.
You're good. Anyways, let's get some final words tonight, guys. Tim, is there anything you'd like to leave the fans with? Anything, any thoughts about the upcoming season, or just anything you'd like to say in closing?
I will say something. Last night my son was over for dinner, and we were talking about the Browns, and I said to him, Miles said that his goal is to win the Super Bowl, and my son was just shaking his head, and I started talking about how I felt about Flacco being back, and if everybody stays healthy, we could have a good chance. And every year somebody goes from worst to first and a playoff team. Why can't that be us for a change? And my son looked at me and he says, You've been a fan for a real long or way too long to be that optimistic. And I thought that was pretty funny that he said that, but I'm always optimistic. I mean, we're 0-0 right now. We got the same record as everybody else. And while I know, of course, that it's a long shot for us to make the Super Bowl, it's fun to think about that, at least right now. And obviously, if we're 0-4 by the time we get to October, you stop thinking about that. But for right now, in the first part of August or the end of July, I'm going to keep thinking that we're going to have a good season and we can make a run at the playoffs.
We've got a shot.
Yeah, we do.
That's right. That's right.
There's a chance.
Jeff, you have closing thoughts tonight?
Yeah, it's the appropriate time of year to be thinking that way, Tim. If we don't have hope, what's the point, right? So
That's right.
we can always hope that they'll surprise us. Set your expectations accordingly. Yeah, I'm gonna just take my fun wherever I can find it. You know, if it's Dylan Gabriel rushing for 100 yards, or if it's Harold Fannin catching 3 touchdowns in a game, or whatever it is, I'm gonna just enjoy that part of the game, and I'm not gonna worry too much about the record this year. I'm just gonna hope that the Browns can sort some things out and get us back on the right path going forward, so that ultimately we can put that winner on the field that we all deserve.
I agree, Jeff. Find me some players this year, and I'm happy. Let's get some direction on this team and build toward that stadium. And I'm just as optimistic as Tim, if not more so.
All right.
That's just me. So
sometimes hope is all we have.
Thank everybody.
Right.
That's right. We thank you all for listening to the show tonight. This has been the Browns Blitz. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Tim. Tim, stay on for a second.